Hello all our Kindermusik friends, I'm Kat and I'm here to talk to you about my favourite instrument today. Now you may remember a couple of weeks ago Rachel introduced you to one of these, the violin. So let's see what we can all remember about the violin. It's a member of the string family, it's got 4 strings and you can play it by either plucking or bowing with one of these. And it has 4 strings, it's got a G, a D, an A and an E, and it can go up really, really high. With a really quite screechy noise when I do it, but Rachel does it much better. So today I'm going to show you the violin's big sister, the viola. Now, like the violin, we've got a G, a D, an A, but we don't have the E string. We don't go up that high. Instead, we have this, a C string. The C string is my favourite. It's why I play the viola. Now, violas come in lots of different sizes. The smallest are about the same size as a violin, and then they get bigger and bigger and bigger until sometimes I can't even reach the end of them. They're that big. Mine is quite a small size. It's an average for a small adult, and it's the technical size is 15.5 inches of body. Now, violas need to be bigger because that makes the C string sound nice and warm. It's said that if you followed the correct laws of violin making, for the proper proportions, a viola would have to be half as big again as a violin. So if you look at it, mine is only a tiny bit bigger. But it would need to come up to here for it to make the full sound that people think harmonically it should make. And you'd have to play it like a cello between your legs. So what viola makers have done is they've done lots of interesting things with the shape to make it more possible to make a good noise. You'll see mine doesn't have any corners. This isn't normal for a viola. Some violas are like this and some aren't. But by taking the corners off, you give it a more mellow sound, so it sounds just more melodious and a bit less harsh. And also, it's got very thick sides, and you can see a big bulgy bit in the middle. These are all things that give it more surface area, so it can do more vibrations, and by having more vibrations, it can still make a really nice sound, even though it's only small. So what this means is that violas have a different sound to the violin. Violin is really fast and flashy stuff works really well on the violin because it's small and it can go high and it can play really quickly. But a viola is more thoughtful and more solemn. If you want to make music about being sad, if you want to be sad because you're away from your friends or because someone you love is far away from you, the viola is a perfect instrument for doing that with. Now on the viola, we don't normally play high up because that's what violins do. We don't need to do that. But in our deep, warm notes, that's where it's most beautiful. But it's also fun to play our top string and be almost as high as the violin. Thing that viola players like to do is we like to play the same thing in different places on the viola. So this time I can play the same piece, but I can do it on a different string higher up. And that gives it a different tone, and we like to play around with our tone and do all the different things you can do. So, you may have seen Mel yesterday play her cello, and she played it all the way from the bottom, all the way to the top. So, shall we see if I can do the same? I won't go as high as a violin, but I might go quite high. Let's find out. That's high enough for me. Any further than that and I can't reach. So you can see that while we can play high stuff too, we really have to stretch our fingers to get up to the top bits. It's just not very comfy to play up there, so we can leave all that stuff to the violins. There's a lot of lovely music for the viola out there, but I'm going to do you a bit of one of my favourite composers. This is a British composer called Ralph Vaughan Williams. He was a man who collected a lot of folk music from all around Britain, so his music has lots of influences of traditional British music in it. He was a very good composer for the viola. He wrote a lot of fun stuff for us, both in orchestra parts but also solos. And this is the prelude, the first movement from his suite for viola and orchestra. Thanks very much. I hope you all like the viola.